how do I feel and what causes me to feel like giving, I'm talking a little bit more about those current donors. Some of this you're going to know, but I'm hoping that you'll remember it and think about it in a different way as you go into 2014. And then as we talk about the next section, after this, I want to make sure we tie in how do I feel with the language choices that you make. So the increased chances of giving, we did talk about this on the last call. I have a much higher chance of giving if I've given before. You are more likely to get a second gift from someone who's given in the last 6 to 8 months than you are from someone who hasn't given in over a year. Now that said, we're talking about donors probably, I would vary it by organization because there's a lot of different size organizations here. If someone's given you a $50,000 gift this year, they likely aren't going to, A, respond to your appeal, and B, give another gift through the mailing. So we're talking about the less than $100 donors up to maybe even $1,000 or $2,500 or $5,000, depending on how compelled they are to open that envelope, how connected they are, and how they felt about giving before. The second thing that increases my size and my gift is that I do know something about you and your funding gap. So no kidding, you got to be clear about why it is your organization requires the funding that it does. I was on a call with Penny, who popped on here just a few minutes ago, and we were talking to their solicitation team for their capital campaign. What is important is how those people felt while they were on the call. They're all donors, and they're looking to help open the door to other donors. So we're working to infuse the mission about the organization, but we are always mentioning the funding gap. So we've had not as many gifts come in the last 2 weeks as we'd like. So making sure to share that funding gap over and over again so it's not invisible to me actually starts to desensitize me to the, I'm talking about how much money we still need, versus here's the facts, here's where we are. The third area that I like to focus on is that your organization is one of their passions and their areas of focus in their life. How you keep our waters clean, how you make sure that people are seen and not discriminated against. Whatever it is that you do, do you know how important you are to some of your top donors? By top, remember, I'm always talking about how long someone's given, as well as the frequency of what someone's given, and then the size gifts. And it could be that over time, my size gift is larger than someone who's given once a year at $1,000 a year. You want to pay attention to some of that. And then the last, and I think a couple of you said this, you have a meaningful connection to someone at your organization. That opening of that envelope is about how I felt the last time I talked to Penny, even, the last time I talked to you, Steve, the last time you and I connected, Beth. That is one of the factors. And or what have I seen recently in my email inbox that causes me to remember, oh, that's right. They're working to raise enough money for 25 more scholarships. And I think that I learned the average scholarship at this organization was only like $500 to $800. Man, I could do a partial scholarship. I could make an impact. So paying attention to these parts of communication in what I call the void of time, in between when I make a gift, that's part of what will make this year more effective for you. Okay, so let's do a raise of hands, if you would. Just raise your hands in the box there. How many of you included a P.S. in your appeal? All right, the hands are raising quickly. Let's see how many of you are there. Okay. About a third, it looks like, only. Some of you might not know, it looks like. Okay. Only about a third. Okay, you can lower your hands. Good job. Love that you did. What if I told you 90% of the people who will get your appeal will read the P.S. first? Some of them read the rest of the letter based on what is in the P.S. the 3 things that I learned a long, long time ago when I worked on a political campaign that people read in a letter before they read the content, and you've heard me say this before, is, did you spell my name right in the Dear Lori? Who signed the letter? Was it someone that I feel I deserve to get a letter from? Like if I got a letter from the marketing coordinator, but I have a good relationship with the CEO or the board chair, who signed it? And what's the P.S.? Those are the 3 things that people look at first, and then they decide if they're going to read the letter or not. So in your P.S., you want to know that's probably one of the most valuable pieces of your real estate in the letter. It's an important thing to think through and to recap the main message. I like it to include a little bit of, you can help Evan with your gift that will close our funding gap by making your gift online today. Now, who's Evan? Well, I'm going to have to go read the letter to find out. And what's a funding gap? And, okay, so now I have to read through the letter and some of those bullets and facts to find out. So pay attention to your P.S. Now, I don't remember who it was because my little note telling me is under the pieces of paper on my desk. But just as we were closing out the webinar last month, someone typed into the question box, why do you give to Charity Water, Lori? They're not supporting women and children. They're not local. They don't seem like they would be in your area of focus. And you're right. They're not in my area of focus. Though I pulled this picture off their website just yesterday because it is engaging and it is a child space. And the reasons, they have donate and help girls around the world get clean water to drink. Well, that was pretty powerful and timely. But since Charity Water isn't in my usual area of focus, here's why I give to them. They keep their information fresh. I go to their website probably, I would say at least once a month, just because I've gotten something on email that I'm interested in and I want to learn more about it, and I go to their website. So they frequently update their homepage. I always learn something new from the emails that they send and information that they change and update. There's always updates about their projects and their promotions. Their images, as this one is, are compelling. I want to know more about where is this girl? Where is the water coming from? Did Charity Water get a well built in her community? And for me, this is just me. This is Lori. I feel great when I give to them. I hear back from them immediately with not just the receipt, but with something. I have never met someone there, but I feel like I have. Some of their development staff have regular updates that come out. Their CEO, Scott Harrison, if I see him at an event, which I've missed him a couple of times, he's been there and just before I've arrived and then he's left, I will walk up to him and say, thank you. I feel like I know you and I know why you started this organization, and I'm honored to support your vision of having clean water for everyone around the world, because he gets personal, because he sends short updates, both written and visual. There are links in emails to a message from Scott. Every fall, he tells the story of why they were founded. So that's the outside-the-box anomaly for me about why I give to an organization that doesn't necessarily fit in with my criteria. Great question. Thanks for asking. What I want to ask you before I go to the next slide is, and now you're probably looking at your slides, but try not to, does anybody remember what my biggest complaint was about all the piles of letters that I got? Just type it into the question box or raise your hand if you want to. I'll pop it up on the screen here. Anybody remember this? Over half the mailings that I received were the only contact I had with that organization all year. Even some of the organizations I've given to before. They don't have an e-news, some of them. There was no other mailing that I got. I've got a little folder system here for figuring to pop stuff into their category. It was annoying and saddening to me that the only time I heard from them was when they needed money or when they wanted money. So here's the crux, I believe, of what you can do better. And that is the question I have for you is, should you customize and segment your appeals? I know a lot of you did at a pretty high level. Some of you have more staff. Julianne, I think everyone would die to have the size staff that you have. Some folks are the staff, the executive director, the development director, the mailing person, the program person. Paying attention to who are your donors, what segments, what groups they fall into. Here's where I want to go through some thoughts that maybe shift how you do your next appeal, especially if you're doing one right now or you're doing one in the spring.